It's week 7 in the NFL, and today I'm answering your questions on the Pittsburgh Steelers here on Steelers Talk. Now, just keep in mind here, this is being recorded during the Steelers Talk live show on Wednesday, so if any of these questions are outdated by the time this comes out, just know that this was pre-recorded, all right? But before we get into the questions here, get that spike going in or on this video. Make sure that we get to 500 likes here within the first hour that this video is out. We would really, really appreciate it if all the real ones here that watch this video within the first hour, go ahead and click that thumbs up icon because we can get that push in the YouTube algorithm and get this video to as many Steelers fans as possible. All right, now we got $2 super chat from my man Just Webb's World. He says, maybe a long shot, but trade for Connor McGovern. Now, I really don't think that he's going to get traded here. I mean, he's a good player. But I really, really don't think that he's going to be somebody that's available here for the Pittsburgh Steelers to trade for. If he's made available and you get a decent price for him, I mean, sure, why not? I mean, I like James Daniels and Isaac Seumalo, so, do you really want to go out and get another guard? But I'm not sure if that's really a realistic possibility. But, if Omar Khan can pull something off, Coop, I mean, maybe, why not? We got Adam Campbell here with a $2 super chat. And he says, how long should Steelers give Kenny Pickett to develop this year? This year. I mean, I'm not going through a year 3 scenario here with, I think Kenny's going to be, 26, 27 next year? I mean, at this point, he was drafted to be an NFL-ready type quarterback, and he's just not, if it's not going to happen this year, I'm just not sure that he'll have enough time because the Steelers are trying to win now. They've got their defensive pieces now. They've got good offensive weapons right now in George Pickens, Diontae Johnson, and Pat Freiermuth now. They don't have time to wait around for a quarterback like Kenny Pickett here. If he continues this stretch of play through the rest of the season, I would bet that the Pittsburgh Steelers will at least bring someone in to compete with him for the job, okay? Now, can Kenny Pickett still earn the job? Come next year? Absolutely, right? I'm not giving up on Kenny Pickett is what I'm trying to say. Diontae Johnson's coming back. Pat Freiermuth is coming back this week. Hopefully, Kenny Pickett gets better as this season goes on. He's actually doing a pretty darn good job at protecting the football. But the accuracy hasn't been there for him this year. I think that just needs to get a lot better here as his NFL career continues. If it doesn't, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. Then we got yinzermike here who says, how much better can we expect the Steelers offense to be with Diontae Johnson and Pat Freiermuth returning this week? I think it's going to be a little bit better. Now, is it going to be like top 10 level offense from here to the rest of the season? Almost assuredly not. I think a decent expectation is maybe get up to like top 20. Is that crazy to say? I know it's Matt Canada we're talking about here. But listen, Diontae Johnson was Kenny Pickett's favorite target last year. You're getting Pat Freiermuth back as a safety blanket. That's going to take pressure off or take double teams off of George Pickens as well, so he might even be more productive. So I think this offense as a whole, especially in the passing game, will be better with these weapons coming back. The only question is going to be how much. I think they could be potentially a top 20 unit in this league. They certainly have the talent to do it, so let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Will the Steelers have a top 20 offense for the rest of the 2023 season? Type yes or type no. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by putting a yes or no down there in the comments section. Oh, and a $10 super chat from my man Brandon Nicholson. He says, eat them beans, my friend, predicting our potential draft position. What position will we look to draft first going into next year? So it really does depend on how the rest of the season shapes out, Brandon. It could be linebacker. It could be even corner. It could be quarterback for all we know, right? There's just so many things that still need to be dished out. What I will say about the Steelers is that they don't have many top-level free agents hitting the market next year. So we're going to see relatively the same bunch of players on this roster, except for the ones that get cut, when it comes to the starting lineup. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see. I still have to do a lot of my research on the draft prospects coming into next year. So draft is a little early for me right now, but overall, quarterback is something that you definitely got to keep in mind here with Kenny Pickett not playing his best football. Inside linebacker is something, probably secondary as well. Those will probably be the top priorities for the Steelers. And then also offensive line. I can't miss that. Then we got one from Matt Hyde here. He says, do you think Najee or Rudolph will get traded? I think Najee is more likely than Rudolph, just because when I put myself in the shoes of an NFL GM, there's nothing that I'm trading to go get Mason Rudolph. He's a third-string quarterback, okay? Like, you're not going to give up anything for a third-string level quarterback. You're just not. You're going to wait for him to hit the open market, and if you like him, then you sign him. But I just don't really see anybody giving up any sort of draft capital whatsoever for a third-string quarterback. I just don't really see that happening. If Omar Khan can pull it off, then great. But I think he's got his work cut out for him there. And then when it comes to Najee Harris, I'm open to trading Najee Harris. I am. His numbers, it's year 3 now, man, and I know you can make the excuse for him. Oh, he's never had good offensive line play, blah, 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 blah. But the numbers aren't there, right? If the season ended today, you're not picking up his 5th-year option. You're just not. So if you get a decent offer to send Najee elsewhere, I'm probably going to take it. I'm going to get my price for him. I'm not going to give him away for nothing. But at the end of the day, I'm definitely open to moving him, especially if I'm going to get a pretty decent draft pick for him. Then we got one from Lane Ewing here. It says, do we sign Kirk Cousins this offseason in free agency? That is definitely a possibility. Okay, because let's say Mike Tomlin does the Mike Tomlin thing here and the Steelers go 9-8, right? But Kenny Pickett hasn't played well the entire season and they miss the playoffs, all right? So let's say that scenario happens. Then you're in a situation where you're probably looking for at least some competition at the quarterback position, but you're not going to be in a draft position to go out and get one of these top quarterbacks in the NFL draft. It's looking like this could be a very heavy quarterback draft, so maybe the Steelers could draft a guy with a 9-8 record, who knows? But Kirk Cousins is definitely going to be a name I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers look at. I think it's also going to be a team that Kirk Cousins is interested in. They've got a good defense. They're going to be probably bringing in a new offensive coordinator. I mean, who are we kidding? They're probably going to be bringing somebody else in as the new offensive coordinator. So Kirk Cousins, if it's someone from the Shanahan tree, then Kirk Cousins could have a really seamless transition here because he's played in Shanahan style, McVay-style West Coast systems his entire career. So it could end up being a pretty darn good fit. Everybody knows the primetime record. Everyone knows the playoff record, right? It's not great. So I think that there's other guys that could be better. But, I definitely think it's a possibility. Then we got one from Matt China here. He says, between Darius Rush and Cory Trice Jr., which Steelers corner has a better chance of becoming a long-term starter? That's tough to say. It really is. Cory Trice just had a really major ACL tear. So I'll go with Darius Rush on this just because those ACL tears can be really, really nasty. But both of these guys have a legitimate shot. They're both big. They're both long. They're both really strong corners. They're both really fast as well. They fit the mold of what you look for in the Pittsburgh Steelers scheme here. I mean, when they're at their best, Mike Tomlin likes to do a lot of press. That's what Darius and Cory Trice Jr. Do at their best. So I'm really hoping that at least one of these guys hit. If I'm betting on one right now, given what I know, I'm going to go with Darius Rush. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. Who's going to be the better corner in their career for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Will it be Darius Rush, type DR, or if you think it's going to be Cory Trice Jr., the 7th-round corner out of Purdue this year, type CT down there in the comments section. And now let's talk about today's sponsor, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Steelers125 for a 125% deposit bonus today. So if you put in a deposit of $100 to $600, they're going to match it 125% to use on your bet. So if you put in a $100 deposit, you get 125 additional dollars free of charge to use on your bets, a $225 value for just the $100 investment. If you love sports betting, you want to take advantage of this awesome deal, go chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Steelers125. Then we got a question from Young Noticeable here who says, what do you think about Justin Fields? His stats are better than Kenny. Yeah, Justin Fields, before he got injured, before the Minnesota game here, I mean, versus the Commanders and Broncos, two kind of struggling defenses, his numbers were actually pretty darn good. Now, I think his accuracy is among the lowest in the National Football League. He's and all that stuff. I do think right now Justin Fields is a slightly better quarterback than Kenny Pickett. And that's just being an objective, somebody that watches the NFL for a living, watches film for a living. Justin Fields right now looks better than Kenny Pickett. I will say the one area that Kenny has been better than Justin throughout his career is that he takes care of the football a lot better than Justin Fields does, in my opinion. So that might be something that in the end makes him the better quarterback. But yeah, man, right now Justin Fields, his stats are better, and I do consider him overall the better quarterback right now. But I'm hoping Kenny Pickett here, as the season continues to prove himself here as a potential franchise quarterback for the black and gold. Then we got one for Ben's Randomness here. He says, should the Steelers start the rookies Broderick Jones and Joey Porter Jr. over the starters Pat Pete and Dan Moore Jr.? So I'm actually going to say yes to the first part, start Broderick Jones and Joey Porter Jr., but instead of starting JPJ over Pat Pete, I'm going to have him start over Levi Wallace. Levi Wallace stinks, guys. He is not good. Okay, plain and simply. I know, babe, Cassie, I know you're watching this. Levi's your favorite player because you've got the autograph, all right? But I hate to break it to you, babe. He's not good at football, all right? He's just not. He's an off-man corner, off-zone corner. That just hasn't been able to stick to receivers this year, just plain and simply. And I think right now, if you put Joey Porter Jr. on the field, I think your best bet actually is to put JPJ and Levi on either side, and then put Patrick Peterson in the slot. I think that his best reps this season have been in the slot. So I think that's probably where the Steelers defense should go. But yeah, this cornerback room, once again, is an issue for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the fact that Terrell Austin and Mike Tomlin don't see this right now and don't see that Joey Porter Jr. is ready for this moment, I mean, that's an indictment on the coaching staff. Then we got one from Dan Robbins here. He says, what's an under-the-radar move the Steelers should make before the trade deadline? I think my answer here is going to be go out in free agency, not a trade, free agency, and sign Ben Jones, former starting center for the Tennessee Titans. Graded within the top 20 in starting centers last year in Pro Football Focus grading. He's still available in free agency. And I think he would be immediately better than what Mason Cole has been able to give us this year. Mason Cole is looking like a replacement level, borderline backup level center for the Steelers this year. And I think Ben Jones could really provide some stability in the middle of this offensive line if you go out and make a little bit of a splash there. So now, shout out your guy down there in the comment section. Name a player that the Steelers should trade for or sign in free agency. It could be anybody that you want. It could be Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, for all I care. Just put a name down there. Let me know down there in the comment section who you want to see in black and gold. Another question here from CM Punk says, trade Najee Harris for a solid right tackle plus a second and fifth round pick for Josh Jacobs. That's definitely interesting. Najee Harris to maybe the Patriots for like Trent Brown would be a deal that would be very interesting to me. And then a second and a fifth round pick for Josh Jacobs. I mean, Josh Jacobs, I would trust as the number one back a lot more than I would Najee Harris at this point. Josh Jacobs has shown that, his success rate on runs throughout his career is super high. It's over 50%. He's been fantastic in his career, whereas Najee's is much lower, especially this season. Najee's like 22% success rate this year. So if we could get Josh Jacobs in the building, you could design the offense around him. Right now, you can't design an offense around Najee Harris. Let's just be honest about that. I like Najee. I don't think he's the problem here with this offense by any stretch of the imagination. But if you're going to be centering your offense around the run game for the next 5 years, right, I'd rather have Josh Jacobs than Najee Harris. And if I can get an additional right tackle in this deal here, I mean, even better. I think that this is a pretty decent idea. Then we got Sean here. He says, opinions on Canada staying for the rest of the season. Why? Why would you commit to this man? Why? I don't understand it. Like, you didn't have to say this. You didn't have to say, we're keeping him for the rest of the season. You could have just said, we'll see. We're good with him now, but anything could change. You could say a bunch of different things. But instead, the Pittsburgh Steelers are like, nope, he's our guy. It's on the offensive line and the quarterback right now. I mean, that's just a ridiculous thing to say if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, in my opinion, especially based on what I've seen on film. I mean, for cripe's sake, we're running 4 verticals at the 7-yard line. I mean, good offenses don't do that stuff, right? The situational awareness from Matt Canada is awful, and that's why he's never had success as a college coordinator, and especially as an NFL coordinator, this guy blows, okay? This guy needs to go. And I understand that if you get rid of him, it's going to be the same offense for the rest of the year, the same playbook. But get somebody in there with better situational awareness. Somebody that knows that you don't go shotgun pass from 4th and 1 in a critical moment in the game when the run game is rolling, right? Somebody that has that situational awareness and that intuition that you need if you're going to be a top play caller in this league. So if you want to join the most interactive Steelers community here on YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button for me right now. We do these mailbags literally every single week. So if you want to have your voice heard in Steelers Nation, join the fastest growing and most interactive Steelers community here on YouTube by clicking that subscribe button right now.